we're live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna go grab my coffee, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Join me for breakfast. I already ate, I guess, the first portion, but this is what we're gonna be teaching a class on for today. So let me adjust everything visually, right? So we have good visuals, and then we can kind of go from there. So give me one quick second because I have to go grab my cafe, but I'll be right back. So just hold on to your thoughts. So, as you can see, we have gotten ourselves a large caramel latte. Um, where should we start? I was planning to go live on on YouTube from the Starbucks. I normally start here, have my breakfast, make my way over there. Um, the place was apparently struck by lightning. It damaged the systems, and it's been closed for 3, 4 days. That seems to be the narrative. But from my own personal experience, I would have to assume that my intuition would be correct and having reason to believe that that business is no more, no longer. And when I teach my students about business, um, I give many different examples where the reality is that most businesses fail at the ownership or the managerial level in administration. And it's one of those things, that I want to reflect on, and I want to touch base upon, like, get down to it because, you know, there's a recall on the Corvette, there's a fire risk in the fuel pump. A massive recall for Chevrolet and the Corvettes have become a very serious matter. General Motors has announced a recall and sales stop of the Corvette Z06 and ZR1 models across North America due to a fire risk when refueling. Everything points to problems in the cooling system design, which could cause flammable vapors. Why would they should not be near engine components? Chevrolet claims to be working on the situation, okay, this is those high performance models. So E-Ray and Stingray is still good. Um, Shout out to Chevrolet. Y'all know that's my team. That's my squadron. Um, I'm in a situation where I'm reflecting. Right, there were many tough decisions that I had to make because up until a few weeks ago, I had a strategy, I had a game plan, I had people that were going to be involved in my music career and this investment portfolio. For some reason, people were unable to connect on the outer rim. So it was like a hurtful situation, like for me, I had to reflect on it, I had to pray on it. How do I proceed? How do I move forward? Well, it's simple. Keep everything business because that is the clear signal that is being sent. Because sometimes, these people are approached by so many other people that you have to kind of understand their baseline is like, you know, show me the money, show and prove, right? So when you keep it at that professional level, there's no emotions, there's nothing to worry about. And that's what I did. First, I acknowledged the situation, I processed it, I prayed on it, I devised a plan, a strategy, changed that, adapted it, adjusted it. Then I disengaged, right? Flew high like an eagle so I can see the terrain. Then I swooped back in to see, if there was anything remaining. And what I found was not, something that I would be interested in. After that, I basically realized that it was a business transaction, that it was transactional, that it was for the moment, based on whatever we had going on. And learning that was one thing, that was one learning curve, right? Um, Knowing what it was another thing. Processing what it was another thing. But the hardest part was accepting that that's what it was. At the end of the day, it's all business. You know what I think about from a hustler standpoint? I'm a natural born hustler. I've been a hustler my whole life, right? All these people have a price. And what would be my best advice to not only my students, but up and coming entrepreneurs or aspiring artists? It would be the same thing. Find out what the price is and pay it. Simple as that. You may come across a group of people that you feel can build with you, excel your career, take it to the next level where you can scale and expand and grow and, like really go to that extreme, right? And all you need to do is find out what the price is, whether it's a good lawyer, whether it's a good manager, whether it's good people in your staff, a publicist, somebody that can help you with marketing, distribution, whatever it is. It's simple. Your situation is unique to you. So, like for example, let's say we're selecting a DSP. The most fair system so far is United Master System, and for the average person that doesn't have a catalog or doesn't have a repertoire big enough to be considered a catalog, it's going to be a challenge just like if you go to any other distributor. But if you're able to design and develop a cash flow system that allows you to invest in your career, you can be very successful. And that's really what they don't tell you, because they are making a lot of money off of independent artists that are unable to even, you know, really fend for themselves, really like administrate themselves, right? So for me, that's kind of like where I am, like I'm in a situation where I'm so busy with so many other things that I really can't process it as I should. And I acknowledge that. I completely understand that dynamic. So because of that, I have to be lenient with the decisions that I make, because at the end of the day, the reality is that there's limitations on both sides. So I can't just acknowledge the limitations across the pond. I have to also acknowledge my limitations. And I'm unable to communicate as effectively or efficiently as I would like to. So what I'm doing is a little bit different from most artists, yet I need also what every artist needs. So I realize that the emphasis is on that smaller percentage of what is different about my project, right? To market and promote and to connect effectively or efficiently, that is what I need to convey to this collective. And at the end of the day, really, that's what it really comes down to. So I use the example of that filling business, right? Sometimes we are our own franchise, right? Like we are our own enterprise, right? We are our own businesses, right? Or we are our own corporations or corporate entity. We are the company, right? And most people, not myself, are very quick to blame the economy, something external, something that is out of everyone's control, for their failures in business. But the reality is, they're not willing to go the extra mile in business to deliver an exceptional experience to the customer, because they don't know how to go the first mile. See, many people feel like success is about them, and not in the sense of loved ones. In my books, I always use that as an example, but in the sense of even owning a business and failing to acknowledge that you're there for the public and playing the music for yourself, quote unquote, instead of for the client experience. Just to kind of give you an example, right? Most people fail to acknowledge their wrongdoing. And it's not that they aim to do wrong, it's that they stop moving forward. They reach like a plateau, right? If we use the context of waves and the context of finances, right? Waves come in and out. That's the water. Water comes in, water comes out. Money comes in, money goes out. Liabilities, etc., savings, whatever, developmental expenses, whatever the expenses could be. What's left behind is the little bit of water that seeps through the sand. The economy is like a bucket of water, right? If you're running with two buckets of water, the water's going to splash and it's going to go in and out. That's the economy. What splashes out is when you hit like inflation or recessions or things get valued or devalued at a certain rate. So eventually, if you're running fast enough, you're not going to have much water left, but hopefully you retain a good amount of water. So sometimes we as entrepreneurs, we're used to seeing cash flow every day, like money comes in every week, every month, every year. And what tends to happen is the opposite. When we're not working and we're not producing, what are we doing? We're spending because it's the opposite nature of our comfort zone. Our comfort zone is making money. Our comfort zone is business, new projects, new this, new that. But anytime we take a break, we have to be vigilant and careful and cautious and aware that we're going to have a higher propensity to spend more money because now we're in a different tax bracket, if that makes sense. So, with education and knowledge and understanding, it's the same thing. You may have a franchise such as this brick and mortar location. This is a McDonald's, and you follow the training, you follow the manufacturer's manuals, you do everything to the T. But yet, even though McDonald's has one of the best management schools in the history of business, right? They own 57% of fast food market all over the world. Each entrepreneur, each person has the power to continue their education. They have the power to continue to network and surround themselves with like minded individuals. It is not free, it's very expensive to do so, but the benefits are priceless. Why? Because if you have a management staff or an entrepreneur or even just a business partner that's constantly educating themselves, everything they do only gets better because you never lose that knowledge. That knowledge is yours forever. One strategy I learned of recently is investing the money into acquiring a new skill that provides you the ability to increase income and then using the difference in income to reinvest back into your business, your brand, your franchises, anything that you have as far as an investment. And a lot of businesses fail when ownership or management stop going to these seminars and these master classes and these networking events, and they're not learning new skills to grow, scale, and expand their businesses. So they're not trying to fail. They're failing by default because if there's a new technology that could be implemented for the success of their business, their product, their services, their brands, they're not acquiring those skills. So they're falling behind because they're doing business the way business was conducted prior to COVID 19, which completely changed the magnitude and the difficulty of the game. And for me, I have to have almost an emergency business meeting every few days because technology changes every single day. It's to the point where it was a challenge to get my business partners to study some things once a month. Then it was a challenge to get them to study things every 2 weeks. Then it was a challenge for them to study things every 3 or 4 days. Now it's like down to 1 or 2 days. It is that important. And then also, it has become a challenge to explain to them moving forward. Now, the way we pivot and juke and adjust is based on what's going to happen in the next 2 days. And eventually, it's the next day. Then it's the next hour. Then it's the next minute. Technology literally requires for you to be on top of the curve at all times, but especially in situations like this. So, in a sense, you really can't blame the economy because that's external, that's outside of your range, right? You can't say that these people are malicious or have uh, malignant intent, but we as entrepreneurs, we can highlight the fact that these people are unwilling to educate themselves. And that changes a lot of things because that means that the small percentage of the variable is what's going to make the difference. So if you give me a strong enough lever. I learned this from Fantastic Four. I can move the earth. So if your business is 97% the same, but there's a 3% change, that 3% is the lever. So from an educational standpoint, an education is priceless, and it's an ongoing thing because it doesn't mean you necessarily have to keep up with everything, but you should prioritize keeping up with the majority of things. And then those special concentrations that you're not the greatest at, there are professionals that are great at those things. Now, your job is to go pursue those things: master classes, seminars, networking events, galas. All these things are important. It seems that after the digital revolution, it's really become a standard of business. It's how you do business now. And it's something that I've always embraced and I've always acknowledged, but now I'm going to emphasize even more. So, going back to the example that I gave you guys, now, based on my own personal situation, right? Now I know to approach it as business. As a hustler, I'm like, this is the price, done, signed, sealed, delivered. Now, what I do with that is up to me because one moment could change your life or it could stay the same. It doesn't matter what happens on the outer rim, on the outer circle. It's about what happens in the inner core. So I know I'm approaching it as business. I know that I'm going to pay a consultation fee, and I know that I'm going to get limited resources, but very valuable limited resources. And I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to take the gamble. So you know what? Just like any other investment, I'm all in. I'm investing my time, I'm investing my effort, and I'm investing my finances into these people. And I'm treating them in the same way that they really are, not the way they're portraying themselves through clever marketing or the media. At the end of the day, most people are transactional. Their mentality is there's never enough. Their mentality is every person for themselves. So all they're worried about is the next quick opportunity. And all the people that they promote and market to, for them, they feel that their success is from the collective. It's getting, a group of people to interact with the maximum engagement at the minimal effort, cost, and time so that they can capitalize by focusing on gaining as much capital as quickly as possible. That's really their strategy. When you cut down everything to the meat and potatoes of it, that's really the strategy. So I cannot be upset by that. I'm happy that I was able to acknowledge that and I was able to move forward without getting my feelings and my emotions involved because at the end of the day, this is a business. And the reality is that all these people have a price. And, you know, with a decent amount of money, you can connect and you can achieve whatever your goals are. And it's kind of like the silent truth. It's the hidden truth. It's the hidden chamber. Once you peel back those layers, you realize even when you connect to social media, it's a lot of repetitiveness. It's a lot of the same thing. Some people will analyze something and they'll learn it, and then they'll hear it from a different person, and a different person, in a different circumstance, in a different group of people, in a different time frame, in a different era, in a different generation. But the messages are already clear. Now, while you're in development, to discern the differences, right, in each situation is one thing, right? Like that's one thing. But at the end of the day, it's very clear what you're dealing with, if that makes sense. Like it's just, I think for the human factor, it's more about accepting it. I think that's what's the hardest thing is accepting that it has to be like that. It's acknowledging that you may not want to look at it that way. And we all have valid reasons why we may not want to look at it that way, especially like if you're like a kind-hearted person. You know, we have had a hard time adjusting to these things, but this is a business. And without being too mechanical like machines, we do have to disconnect the majority of our emotions just to protect ourselves. Because, you know, there's a reason why, I have to let people know that all money is not good money. Like, I'm a Jewish man of faith. I cannot do business with everybody. And going through that vetting process of finding the right people, that's a challenge all in its own. So all those things are important factors. As much as I may try to convey that to people, I still have to go through the process of entertaining every opportunity, every offer. So moving on from that, that's just my reflection on my experiences, right? For my project, I simplified it, or I simplified things, everything down to the point of all I'm doing is raising venture capital for the auction. The biggest expenses are the legal expenses. Other than that, the rest is just digital marketing and promotion, and we know how to do that very well in the context of any kind of business because most of the way that new businesses connect are essentially the same. So understanding that gives us a superpower because it doesn't matter what company we deal with or what group of individuals we deal with. We know that at the end of the day, that's where we stand. And my advice also would be for all of you out there not to get discouraged. Just find out what the prices are or can be and then strategize. You look at major markets such as China, and if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a report coming out of the Philippines. They're doing every 2 month cycles. So that's a huge advantage when my competition is thinking in 18-month cycles. I'll give you a better answer and a better balance. If the United States government thinks in 4 month cycles and in 3 month cycles, 4 times a year, if overseas is thinking 2 month cycles, they're trying to compete with a 33% improvement. Do you see the inclination? So now, as a business owner or as a entrepreneur, maybe as a business partner, that should be your focus. Also, I came across a piece of data where basically, um, there was a question asked, like as far as what should be a digital marketing rollout, and it's agreed, 3 to 4 months. Well, in my own personal opinion, because technology is speeding up so much, it should be maybe a 50% improvement. So 3 to 4 months should be, I want to say, 2 months or something similar, just to give you an example. So now we can explore that. Also, another thing that I realize is a lot of my competitors, they're trying to put events together that have like 5,000 people. You know, 1,000 people, 1,500 people is a huge accomplishment. I feel more comfortable with venues that are, I want to say, less than 2,000. Less than 2,000, just to give you an example. And I don't really see the need to try to promote such a big event that I need to cater to like 60,000 people. Before, a few years ago, that was the game, the aim. That was the game. That was the goal. In Dominican Republic, the Olympic Center, max capacity is 60,000 people. You know, I think that is doable within a year. But is it a priority now, today, like it was for me a year ago? No, because it's way more profitable for me to do a concert that has less than 5,000 people. So some of my competitors, they feel that, okay, if I do 5,000 or better, I have the advantage. Well, to beat a 5,000 or better performance, all I have to do is three performances with 3,500 people or 2,500 people. Even at 1,500, I may do 500 attendees less, but in three different markets, 1,500 people are probably going to give me more market cap, more market reach, than just doing one major event. Also, let's say a major event was 4 months to promote. Well, an event that's not as big, I can definitely promote in 2 months. And my new goal would be to promote it every 2 weeks to every month. If I can have a variable between 2, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks as a backup, that can be very, very powerful and very strategic. Now, taking that into consideration, let's move on to another facet. So, a lot of my super fans, right, in places overseas, these people are very, very wealthy, right? So they own yachts. Like, I have a lot of fans that own yachts. For some reason, my fans are people that are into transportation. So they're into like aviation and aquatic sports and cars and motorcycles. Everything about my music is correlated to motion, right? So I love listening to my music driving, and most of my fans, that's what they do. It's like that's the kind of music, that's the category of music that I make, right? So when you put an event on for, let's say, a corporate structure or even a family structure, whatever it could be, the smallest, most medium, or the most largest quantity of capacity, when you're on a yacht, there's probably a limitation based on the size, right? So, like a decent sized yacht can have 20 to 40 people standing room, you know? Think about me performing in the middle of a downtown metropolis in the ocean for 20 to 40 people. More boutique performances for me could be 10 to 15 people, maybe 20 people. But the really, really big events are less than 12 people. And that is a different experience because in those 12 attendees or super fans, quote unquote, I make more money than a venue that has 5,000 people. So in my career, in the past, that could have been something good for marketing, but in the current times, it is extremely profitable because even though it's aquatic sports, you're still in motion. You're just in motion in the ocean. So in certain markets, I've had to adapt my marketing and, in a sense, have a limited liability business partnership to do these events. I don't know exactly how to feel about that because, for example, if I do a concert for my super fans on a yacht, I like to be close to the Riviera. I don't want to be deep ocean, if that makes sense. So close enough to where you could see, let's say, the French Riviera, but not too far where you're taxiing into like international waters. You know what I'm saying? And those yachts are mega, mega powerful. They can go offshore very quickly. They can go very far. So I try to limit those events to stage time, you know, 1 hour, 2 hours max. And those people party before the event, during the concert, and definitely afterwards. That's when their real party starts. So I'm more like a appetizer, like a delicacy, right? So this is the moment where they eat the caviar, right? But when they're eating the full meal, they're partying into the night and most of the times into the next day. So a lot of artists are not comfortable doing something like that because let's say they don't know how to swim or they're afraid of heights or they're afraid of the water. To give you an example, I have venues overseas internationally that they're like, in a sense, I guess you could say like soccer stadiums, because overseas soccer is very, very popular, right? Some artists don't feel comfortable doing that because those venues are so big that even if you pack them, you're gonna have fans all over the venue. You're not gonna see like a crowd of people in one concentration. People are gonna be shopping, they're gonna be walking around, they're gonna be taking pictures, they can interact. Live venues overseas are completely different. And like all the cheesy stuff that you see in the United States, like, oh, you gotta wear a wristband to be by the stage and whatever, people don't do that overseas. If some of my fans want to be close to the stage, they're going to be close to the stage. And if some of my fans want to be chilling in the background, having a few drinks and dancing, that's what they're going to do. But another element that I am learning to implement is to give my fans the opportunity to pay whatever they want for the tickets, for the merchandise, and things like that. And I don't know all of the dynamics of it. Things do have a cost, so I need to balance what I can, let's say, using the Jeff Bezos Amazon model, right? Like I can lose financially if I'm gaining market share or market cap, or I'm gaining an expansion. Also, a percentage of that, I can just delegate it as a write off to marketing expenses. These are all things that are new. And I'm having so much fun exploring these things instead of going to these quote unquote gurus that know this and either fail to share it, and if they share it, it's beneficially shared. It's not unpartially shared. You know what I'm saying? So like, let me see what would be a good example or a good way to express that. Some of these experts would criticize that approach. But if that approach is successful for you and it provides an additional income stream or revenue stream, and you use that money to hire them, they're as willing as the negative comment or inclination that they have, they're as willing to accept the money. So what's the real game that's being played? What's, in other words, like what's really real? What's really going on? You know what I'm saying? So these are basic examples. It is wild style because I am starting to compare this to professional boxing. It's not a street fight. There's a discipline to it, there's a science to it, there's rules and regulations, there's parameters. There are things that can come across as gray line or borderline, but whatever it takes to win, everybody's in it to win it. And that's just the reality, right? So let's say if a competitor, I have my own lane, so I have no competition in my lane, but let's say if another artist, went through a lawsuit because they pumped the numbers so much that they had to pay a penalty when they got caught pumping the numbers. When it was a fight for the streaming numbers and all that nonsense, right? If you see that an artist has gone through that, you have the choice to not do that. You have the choice to learn from that and apply it in a different way. I'll give you a wild card example. I was watching a master class, and in the conversation, they spoke about the analog era where it was like digital bootleg DVDs and CDs, right? So why pay 24.99 for a deluxe series album, or 19.99, 18.99 for an album, where for $5 you could get a mixtape that has all the bangers, like all the top songs that are out. None of the songs that are considered fillers, songs that are just bridges between the album project, right? So when you take that, it puts it into the context for me of hustling, right? So Hayes could have been top tier, top shelf, exotic, you know what I'm saying? Way more expensive. But with Mango Piña, you got almost an eighth for a tenth of the price. So you were getting a lot more. Some of those mixtapes, they didn't just have, you know, 20 songs or 18 songs or 16 songs. Some of those mixtapes had 30 songs, 40 songs. Some deluxe series, it could have been like summertime jams for all kind of R&B classic hits. And everything was digital marketing in the sense of graphics. I had a business partner. We had a business that had a store where they had like DVDs and the DVD era was like the bootleg mixtapes, all those things, right? And I realized a lot of the times a DJ could just change the playlist order and change the graphics and the photography, like the artwork, and they will sell it as a new product. Some mixtapes competed with each other, so they had the same hit records but in a different playlist. And what you were paying for really was the artwork. So, in order to protect themselves legally, it would say not for sale, for promotional uses only. Now, selling you the artwork, they were giving you the music for free. But really, what you were paying for was the convenience. So, how can I bring that to 2025 in a format that people can pay what they like to pay? A lot of these gurus and consultants, they all ultimately work for companies, directly or indirectly. How difficult is it to contact the companies directly versus contacting the gurus and the consultants? It's not difficult because the approach is different, because the proposal is different, because the insight, the incentive for them to do business is different. And remember, every company has a price. So now you see the true nature of the beast in both spectrums, whether it's corporate or it's an individual. They both have a price. They're here to do business. Their mentality is lack, so everything is like every person for themselves. Now, it doesn't mean that you should jump on every opportunity, but you need to start somewhere. So, my advice would be take your top 24 professionals in the top 24 fields that relate or correlate to your investment, your product, or your service, and penetrate the market in that way. For me, I have to stay on the technology side. I have to stay on the business side because if you go on the creative side, that's where the resistance comes from. That's where the challenges come from. That's where the limitations come from. Because now you're dealing in a sense in the personal realm, even though it's still transactional business exchange. And you have to be mentally strong for that, emotionally sound. You have to be concrete with all of your intuition, your insights, and what your aims and goals really are. And just stay focused to that because there's so many distractions right now. If you follow that path, that is the path to success, in my opinion. Again, you invest at your own risk. But as far as me, I'm telling you 100%, it is a million percent business and business only for me because I realize that sometimes people have to earn the lane of family and friendship and things like that. Like that's not easy. I have my some of my business partners I haven't reached out to in about 2 weeks. I have to be careful how I reach out today because most people are going to church, and I can't do any business till tomorrow morning because you guys know I'm Jewish. So all I can do is dedicate my time for educational purposes. But it's the sabbatical for me. I cannot close any business deals to tomorrow. And that just goes to show you it's about putting in that effort so that everybody's on the same page, moving in the same direction at the same time. And we're still human beings at the end of the day, right? We all have emotions, we have feelings, we have thoughts. I try to be careful with everybody's thoughts and feelings and their point of view. And again, it is not necessarily a challenge for me to do business. It's just a standard. I only want to be surrounded by God's people. And vetting these people is confronting them with that and seeing how they react to it. Also, you have to ask yourself, right? What if this collective of people do not share your values and your perspective? Do you still proceed to do business with them? For me, it's a definite no. But for some of you, that may not be your standard. I don't have to agree, but I do understand. And all those things are, in a sense, a choice. But how do you maneuver through those things? It's very simple. Keep everything business. Understand that these are all digital marketers, they're all consultants, they're in different levels of their journey. So just approach everything as business. What is the price? If I'm not mistaken, Patrick Bet David is about 60,000 an hour. You know, for me, he would do it for like 40,000 an hour. You know, to speak to me on Connect is $390,000 an hour, 97,500 every 15 minutes. But if I spoke to him, it would be for free. What's the difference between me speaking to him for free and him speaking to me for 40,000? The difference is that he's the owner of the New York Yankees, and I'm in the pursuit of buying the New York Mets. That's like it's a lifetime goal. Everything will have to go phenomenally well for me to be able to do that. And again, a few years ago, that could have been a deeper inclination for myself. Fast forward to August 31st, 2025, doesn't even cross my mind. I realized that everything is venture capital and consultants. And ever since I realized that, I really haven't found any other way to penetrate because everybody does not do business the same. Yet people don't take responsibility for educating themselves to achieve their goals, to networking, to really branding to reach their goals. A lot of people will say it's the economy. And I'm here to defend the economy because there's a lot of pockets of success. With that business that I gave you as an example, it's on a premium street, it's a premium brand. That means premium products and services. It has all of the statistical attributes that a successful business should have. Yet, it just closes doors. What can we learn from that? If it could happen to a huge corporation with battle tested products and services, with a complete system in place, what does that say about you, your products, your services, your industry, or your trade, your investment, your franchises? If they can fail by having incorrect ownership and management and strategies and skill sets, what does that say about you? What do we do with a situation like that? Well, we learn from it so that we can avoid that ever happening to us. You know, just as an example. So it pretty much puts everything into perspective because it comes down to choice. Now, don't get me wrong. Every master class, every business course, every seminar, every event that you go to, it's very expensive. I'm not going to say it's just a business expense. It's literally a business sacrifice. It's like a success tax. But is it worth it? I believe so, especially in those leap years where you're trying to like grow your company to a better extent. So if there's, let's say, 1,000 events, I'm not saying go to 1,000 events, but try to go to 100. Try to go to 200. They don't all have to be big. They don't all have to be the most expensive. But think about the advantages from networking with people in your field that may have insights in places where you have areas that need improvement. Think about the advantages. What would be the advantages? So let's say you're a small business owner, and let's say you do 200 services per day. So that's 2,000 every 10 days, 4,000 every 20 days, and 6,000 services every 30 days. So that's your max capacity. You're trying to figure out how to improve by 30% and get to 7, 8,000, 9,000 services. You go to a convention where there's 5,000 people. Those 5,000 people can give you 500 people to connect with. That can tell two people. That's 1,000 people right there. If you do that 3 times in a month, that's your additional 30%. 10% every venue, 10% every convention that you go to. How much is that worth to you? How much are you willing to pay? So, okay, let's say the convention is $5,000, but you're coming out of there with a potential to increase your sales by 30%. You have 3,000 additional people. If they each gave you an additional $10, that's $30,000. That's almost $400,000 a year increase. Remember, your business is doing a million plus. Now you're doing 20, 30% of that. I would do it for 5% growth. I would do it for 10% growth. But that's just me. That's my risk tolerance. That's my perspective as an investor. Now, let's take that into the context of, let's say, a Jeff Bezos, right? So he wasn't profitable because he was willing to not make a profit, reinvest back into the business, and continue to build the infrastructure that would allow him to be profitable in the future. And because he understood that most companies could not afford to take those financial risks or losses, he was able to invest long term. Now, this is from an investment standpoint because he convinced investors, listen, go with me on this journey and on this ride. We're going to have the resilience to keep bouncing back. Don't worry, we don't need anything right now. We're just going to build the infrastructure. Now, fast forward to today, and their cloud technology, their streaming services, they're in space, they're in wearable technology, they're in household devices, they're in movies, on top of their e commerce business because they are one of the biggest retailers. So, did he start the company with that vision? I believe so. Was he able to convey that to the investors? I highly doubt it. Now, what was the marvel of his business strategy? He was able to convince the investors to ride with him on that journey. And that is art because raising capital is just a reality of today's business world. And if you're uncomfortable with it, you really need to evaluate the field that you're in, or the investment, or the career, or the inclination, because the sad truth is that as technology evolves, we have to go to venture capital to expand and build with what's already available with an inclination of what is to come. So now let's see what's really going on in the world. You guys are ready? Because there's only one way to know what's really going on. CZ urges crypto traders to avoid selling the dip. Binance founder Changpeng Zhao, CZ, on Friday against reacting impulsively to market downturns. Things to avoid in crypto. Dip, CZ said. His comments came amid a broader market slide, with Bitcoin dropping 3.51% to 108,602.11, and Ethereum falling 3.89% to 4,337.92 as of 1:27 a.m. Eastern Time, signaling growing unease across crypto markets. Ethereum stands in the Green Ranger 2.33%, $4,476.86 at time of recording. Bitcoin stands in the red 0.44%, $108,348 even. Crypto slips after US data, Ethereum down 5%. Bitcoin and Ethereum extended losses on Friday as investors reacted to fresh US inflation data and retreated ahead of the long weekend. The Bureau of Economic Analysis reported personal consumption expenditures, PCE, rising 0.5% in July, with the PCE price index up 0.2% monthly and 2.6% annually, matching expectations. The figures seem to reinforce concerns that the Federal Reserve may keep interest rates elevated, weighing on risk assets. Adding to the weaker mood, the University of Michigan's final August report showed the Consumer Sentiment Index falling 6% from July to 58.2, marking a 14.3% decline compared with the same month last year. Bitcoin BTC plunged 3.62% to 108,498 and 882 of a penny at 10:31 a.m. Eastern Time, while Ethereum ETH tumbled 5.01% to $4,285 and 7,133 of a penny. MicroStrategy buys 3,081 Bitcoin for 356.9 million. MicroStrategy Incorporated, doing business as Strategy, acquired another 3,081 Bitcoin for 356.9 million in the week between August 18th and August 24th, according to the company's Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) filing released on Monday. According to the filing, the company bought Bitcoin at an average price of approximately $115,829 per Bitcoin, which includes fees and expenses. After the latest purchase, MicroStrategy and its subsidiaries currently hold 632,457 Bitcoin, acquired at an aggregate price of approximately 46.5 billion, or around $73,527 per Bitcoin. The company's stock dropped by 14.45% during pre-market trading after the filings released the sell for $342.21 at 8:21 a.m. Eastern Time. XAI sues engineer over supposed theft of Grok secrets. Billionaire and entrepreneur Elon Musk's XAI Corporation filed a legal complaint against its former employee, alleging theft of confidential information and trade secrets related to the company's artificial intelligence chatbot, Grok. Shortly after, he resigned and accepted a job at OpenAI. According to the lawsuit filed on Thursday in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California, the company sued Juezhen Li over breach of contract, misappropriation of trade secrets, and violation of California's Computer Data Access and Fraud Act. Defendant breached the agreement by, among other things, uploading XAI's confidential information to his personal system, announcing his resignation, falsely representing that he had deleted any copies of XAI's confidential information when he departed the company, and then refusing to return that confidential information to XAI and delete all copies of it upon his departure from XAI, the company stated in the complaint. DeepSeek set to pick Huawei chips to train models. Here we go. Shout out to Huawei, baby. Chinese artificial intelligence company DeepSeek has supposedly decided to use Huawei Technologies AI chips to train some of its smaller AI models, the information reported on Friday. The media outlet cited sources with knowledge of the matter, stating that this decision follows Chinese authorities allegedly pressuring the country's tech firms to use locally made semiconductors in an effort to reduce their resilience on NVIDIA chips. According to the information, DeepSeek will continue to use NVIDIA semiconductors for its largest AI models. Moreover, reports suggested earlier this month that the company's next generation R2 model launch delay happened because DeepSeek failed to train it with Huawei chips. BYD's revenue in H1 at 52 billion, up 23.3%. BYD Auto Corporation Limited revealed on Friday that its revenue in the first half of its fiscal 2025 came in at 371.3 billion yuan, around 52 billion, jumping 23.3% on an annual basis. In the next 6 months ending June 30th, year over year, gross profit increased 18.2% to 66.8 billion yuan, while profit attributable to owners of the parent rose 13.8% to 15.5 billion yuan. Earnings per share in the first half stood at 1.71 yuan, up 9.6% compared to the same time frame a year ago. The new energy vehicle sales hit another record high, and the group secured the title of sales champion among Chinese auto manufacturers and brands in the global new energy vehicle market, with brand influence expanding widely, the company commented. BYD Corporation Limited stands in the Green Ranger 2.14%, $114.40 a share at time of recording. Meta, reliance to deliver open source AI models to India. Meta Platforms Incorporated's CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced on Friday that his company partnered with India's telecommunications company Reliance Jio Platforms to deliver open source artificial intelligence models to Indian companies. It's a key step forward towards ensuring that everyone has access to AI and eventually superintelligence. Meta and Resilience are going to deliver our open source AI models to Indian businesses to help them fuel their work with JAMA. Llama, we've seen how AI can amplify human potential, boosting productivity, inspiring creativity, and accelerating innovation. And now, with Reliance's reach and scale, we can bring this to every corner of India, Zuckerberg said. The Meta CEO stated. that this technology can be tailored to fit the needs of every business, from startups to large enterprises. Meanwhile, Reliance's chairman and managing director, Mukesh Ambani, called the venture a game changer for India's enterprise and sectors of national importance. Reliance Industry Limited stock stands in the red 2.07%, $1,357.20 at time of recording. Meta Platform also stands in the red 1.65%, $738.70. Alibaba's Q1 revenue up 2% to 34.6 billion. Alibaba Group Holding Limited announced on Friday that its revenue for the quarter ending on June 30th, 2025 amounted to 247.7 billion yuan, 34.6 billion, rising by 2% compared to the same period last year, falling short of expectations. Net income jumped 76% year over year to 2.4 billion yuan, 5.9 billion, and diluted earnings per share surged 82% to 2.25 yuan, or 31, 0.31. The company's cloud intelligence group saw its revenue grow 26% annually to 33.4 billion yuan, 4.7 billion. The China e-commerce group sales were up 10% to 140 billion yuan, 19.6 billion, and the international digital commerce group's revenue increased 19% to 34.7 billion yuan, 4.9 billion. Looking ahead, we remain committed to investing in our two strategic pillars of consumption and AI plus cloud to capture historic opportunities and drive long term growth. CEO Eddie Wu said Alibaba's shares gained 1.07% in pre market trade. Alibaba Group Holding Limited stands in the Green Ranger, 12.90%, $135. Alibaba said to have created new AI chip. Alibaba Group Holding Limited has created a new artificial intelligence chip which is more versatile than its previous chips, the Wall Street Journal reported on Friday, citing people familiar with the matter. According to the report, the new chip developed by the Chinese e commerce and cloud computing company was created to serve a broader range of AI inference tasks, unlike previous chips, which were mainly designed for specific applications. The report also stated that the chip is now in testing and it was not manufactured by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, like the previous one, but by a company from mainland China. The new chip is reportedly not designed for training AI models, but only for inference. The recent push by Chinese companies to make their own chips comes after the United States stopped exporting its most advanced chips to China and instead allowed Nvidia Corporation to send only its older H20 chips, whose sales Beijing reportedly restricted. Alibaba Group Holding Limited once again stands in the Green Ranger, 12.90%, $135 even. Eric Trump. No question that Bitcoin will reach 1 million. United States President Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, claimed on Friday that there is no question that Bitcoin will reach 1 million in the next several years. You've got nation states that are buying the hell out of Bitcoin. You've got Fortune 500 companies that are buying the hell out of Bitcoin. I mean, you've got the biggest families, you've got the biggest companies on earth that believe in this digital store of value. Everybody wants Bitcoin and everybody is buying Bitcoin. And that's an incredible thing. And that's why I've always said that I really believe in the next several years, Bitcoin hits a $1 million mark, Eric Trump stated at the Bitcoin Asia conference. He also noted that Bitcoin's price does not have to stop at 1 million, claiming that he thinks it can go a lot higher. Bitcoin stands in the red 0.36%, $108,433 even. And we'll finish with NVIDIA. NVIDIA's Q2 revenue jumps 56% to 46.7 billion. This is as of the 27th. NVIDIA Corporation revealed on Wednesday that its revenue for the second quarter of its fiscal 2026 amounted to 46.7 billion, surging 56% from the same period a year earlier and beating analyst estimates. Data center revenue also jumped 56% year on year to 41.1 billion. Net income for the trimester climbed 59% on an annual basis to reach 26.4 billion. Diluted earnings per share soared 61% to 1.08. The company projected revenue of 54 billion for the third quarter with a possible variation of 2%. The forecast does not account for any H2O shipments to China. Blackwell is the AI platform the world has been waiting for, delivering an exceptional generational leap. Production of Blackwell's Ultra is ramping at full speed, and demand is extraordinary. The AI race is on, and Blackwell is the platform at its center. CEO Jensen Huang stated NVIDIA shares lost 3.12% in after hours trading after the company's report to 175.93 apiece. NVIDIA Corporation stands in the red 3.32%, the Red Ranger $174.18 a share. Now let's go back to crypto real quick. Let me see. Okay. Trump media briefly jumps 10% on crypto.com news. The shares of Trump Media and Technology Group Corporation rallied on Tuesday after the firm revealed that it would partner up with crypto.com. The business shared that it was planning to introduce the Chronos CRO digital token into its Truth Social and Truth Plus platforms. After briefly surging 10%, the company's stock popped at 4.94% at 9:36 a.m. Eastern Time, going for 18.0700 apiece. Trump Media and Technologies Group stands in the red 2.37%, $17.53 a share. Trump Media adds Crypto.com wallet integration. This is as of the 26th, August 26, 2025. Trump Media Platforms announced on Tuesday that it is preparing to integrate Crypto.com's digital wallet infrastructure as a reward system for its users on the Truth Social and Truth Plus platforms. The collaboration will introduce a reward system allowing users to convert platform earned gems into CRO tokens and other benefits. Users will be able to pay for subscriptions using CRO balances with special benefits for Crypto.com account holders. Trump Media will secure its CRO holdings through Crypto.com's custody service, enabling staking for additional revenue, the press release said. Furthermore, as part of the strategic partnership, Trump Media will purchase 105 million in Chronos CRO tokens, while Crypto.com will invest 50 million in Trump Media common stock. Very interesting. And those are your markets right there. So very quickly, let's check the tech news, right? And we'll close out with the Dominican newspaper. August 1st. Let me see. Hmm. All right, let's do something fun. This is for our younger design students, right? Please log on to Eurogamer.net. This article is brought to you by Mr. Connor McCarr, staff writer, published on August 1st, 2025. Connor McCarr is a published author and staff writer for Eurogamer. He remains a fan of fighting games, MMOs, and RPGs, currently playing Dune Awakening. And here we go. Battlefield 6 leads will avoid goofy crossover skins to stay true to Battlefield. Not here, Nicki Minaj. Battlefield 6. Fans won't have to worry about a deluge of out of place cosmetics and crossover skins, according to head of Respawn and Battlefield Studios Vince Zampelli and general manager Byron Bede. Speaking to Eurogamer, Zampelli discussed the importance of sticking to the core visual identity of Battlefield as far as cosmetics are concerned. I think for us, that's what we've been focused on, he said. We want to be true to Battlefield. We want this fantasy to feel like you'd expect of Battlefield. So that's what we've been focused on. Bede, who previously led the Call of Duty franchise before jumping over to work as general manager for Battlefield, when asked about the Fortnitification of modern FPS games, stated, "That's a hard one to answer, right? You kind of have to do things to let people differentiate themselves and be unique. So it's how you do that in a way that doesn't go too far. We don't have to worry about that right now." When Eurogamer followed up by saying there was a distinct difference between different variations of military cosmetics and American Dad characteristics or characters, as an example, Bede replied, "There's probably a difference, yes, or yeah." Bede used to refuse to speak on the topic any further. Battlefield 6, having just revealed its multiplayer mode and a global release date, is clearly looking to blast a big hole in the current AAA FPS ecosystem, whereas other series like Call of Duty have been swamped with a deluge of crossover skins and promotional items. There is clearly an appetite for a shooter less eager to throw immersion out the window. Battlefield 6 is positioned to land large on most core FPS platforms. Not the Switch 2 though, that's safe for now. Are you happy about this? Do you care at all about the cosmetics in games like these? Let us know below. So pretty cool. Now let's go to Dominican newspapers. This is the challenge of the day. Hmm. So we'll go to Listín Diario. Let's go to, hold on. Let's go to Salud. All right, this one you guys are gonna like. La salud mental de los jóvenes modifica la curva de la felicidad por el deterioro, deterioro que presenta. El momento de mayores preocupaciones en la vida ya no sería la mediana edad. La ansiedad y la depresión son los trastornos mentales más comunes en el país. EFE, Agencia EFE, actualizado. Uno de los patrones más llamativos de las ciencias sociales es la curva del bienestar, que tiende a disminuir después de la infancia y hasta los 50 años y repunta después, un modelo que desaparece debido al deterioro de la salud mental de los jóvenes. El momento de mayores preocupaciones en la vida ya no sería la mediana edad, sino que aumenta en la primera juventud para ir decidiendo de manera continua con los años, según un estudio encabezado por el Dartmouth College, Estados Unidos. La curva del bienestar en base a la edad, también llama de la felicidad, tiene forma de U y fue descrita en el 2008. Al invertir la U, surge la curva o joroba del malestar, que se manifiesta como preocupación, estrés y depresión por la edad. Ahora, esa llamada joroba habría desapareciendo porque el malestar disminuye de manera continua con los años, pero la causa no es una mejoría en la mediana edad, sino la situación de la juventud, señala la investigación que publica PLOS ONE. Un equipo de investigadores estadounidenses y británicos analizó primero datos de sus países y después de otros 42, procedentes estos últimos del estudio Global Minds sobre salud mental. El conjunto abarca desde 1993 a 2025 y recoge respuestas sobre la salud mental, angustia, miedo, ansiedad y pensamientos suicidas de los participantes. En Estados Unidos y Reino Unido podemos demostrar que este cambio se ha producido porque la salud mental de los jóvenes se ha deteriorado en comparación con la de las personas mayores, señala el estudio. Los autores consideran razonable deducir que los mismos cambios subyacentes explican el patrón de malestar asociado a la edad que observamos en todo el mundo. Las razones no están claras, pero sus autores sugieren los efectos a largo plazo de la gran crisis del 2008 en las perspectivas laborales de los jóvenes. La insuficiente financiación de los servicios de salud mental, los retos por la pandemia de COVID-19 y el aumento del uso de los teléfonos móviles y redes sociales. La muestra incluye personas de entre 18 y 74 años y si se consideran las diferencias por sexo entre los menores de 25 años, se observa que la salud mental de las mujeres es peor que la de los hombres en los 44 países en lo que respecta a la desesperación y las tendencias suicidas. Este es el primer artículo que demuestra que el deterioro de la salud mental de los jóvenes en los últimos años significa hoy en día, tanto en Estados Unidos como en el Reino Unido, el malestar mental es mayor entre los jóvenes y disminuye con la edad, indica el artículo. Esta situación supone un cambio enorme con respecto al pasado, cuando el malestar mental alcanzaba su punto álgido en la mediana edad. Las razones de este cambio son controvertidas, pero lo que nos preocupa es que hoy en día existe una grave crisis de salud mental entre los jóvenes que es necesario abordar. El hallazgo de que el malestar decrece con la edad, pero comienza alto en la juventud, evidencia que adolescentes y jóvenes son un grupo vulnerable en términos de salud mental, dice sobre la investigación, en la que no participó la doctora en psicología de la Universidad del País Vasco, Maite Jaragordobil. El estudio resulta relevante porque cuestiona un hallazgo empírico muy consolidado la existencia de la curva en U del bienestar y de la joroba del malestar, señala la investigadora al Science Media Center, una plataforma de recursos científicos para periodistas. La evidencia presentada muestra que este patrón está cambiando y que la salud mental de los jóvenes se está deteriorando de forma significativa, que genera un nuevo escenario, lo que genera un nuevo escenario para la investigación y la intervención educativa y social. Artículo muy bueno. La estructura eh, escrita un poquito limitada. Ay, Dios mío, mi gente, ahora vamos a seguir porque hay que atender el negocio. We have to go to the business. We're about to open shortly. My business partners have been there for 25 minutes. Sorry, we got to change gears now. Another thing I wanted to share with you guys outside of this business economy masterclass from both angles, you see that internationally, mental health is the biggest thing, creating a higher demand for my beautiful music and words of inspiration. Um, I just started back up for the podcast, the radio show, and the vlog. And I'm playing with the idea of just creating an all new one, creating an all new one. So for Spanish, I always like to do both. You know, everything for me is conversation style, but I think I want to dedicate one for Spanish for reading and writing and history and culture and the news and things like that. More for not just educational, but more health related. I think that's going to be my next goal, but I'm working on it. So I might be able to get to it sometime. I think after Tuesday, I think we're going to have a super busy day today and tomorrow. Fingers crossed, but especially tomorrow, most of our competitors are not going to be open. We are definitely going to be open tomorrow, 100%. And tomorrow I'm going to open super early. Today I couldn't do it because I had other things to take care of. Oh, Jesus. Oh, whoa, super duper cold. So, quick reflections of the day. Very appreciative, very grateful. The sun's coming up. All of God's children are going to the temples to worship. Very good, amazing thing. I have to work because there's clients that this is the only time that they have to connect with us, you know? So, good customer service. And that's it. Good customer experience. Now, the album that came out yesterday, I did it live, man. I did it live. I got a huge hit with Pull the Pin. That one I'm dedicating to a very close person to my heart, which is my brother Bombong. Um, you know, he's battling right now medically. So when that song came together, I was like, yo, dedicating that one to him for sure. So I got that one in the chamber. Um, one of my artists is featured on it. Amazing. By the way, one of the strategies that I could use to penetrate, this is a note for myself, but I'm making it public to you guys. If I just release the Farik catalog and Buddha's catalog, oh man. And I have a lot more, but I know for sure with Buddha, I probably have 1,000, 2,000, and I know for sure I have like 2,000 with Farik. It has to be. It has to be. As a matter of fact, let me see if Farik put anything in my inbox right now. Shout out to you, Farik. Shout out to you, Buddha. But I think my one of my favorite hits that we have this year, "Stay Dreaming." It's in my artist profile. Very, very, very nice. Mm, yeah, that's all he got. All right, let's see what Buddha got. Buddha always got something for me, man. But see, that gives me a new directive. Yeah, I need this. Buddha just sent me another one. Yo, one thing again, I don't like to put them to compete because these are my business partners, but Buddha is just like he's just relentless. Yo, even the fact that they were like in a comparison, just the competition aspect of it. Oh man, he just doesn't stop, man. So also like a lot of the new producers that I worked with, they all came from Buddha. They all came from Buddha's algorithm. So once Buddha sent me something, I will find that up and coming, producer. And again, with the younger guys, sometimes I don't know, man. I agree with the study that we did as far as science because they are kind of like in this space. But let's see, some of these are just so quick, but we'll give them a chance. Yeah, we're just gonna do the album. Shout out to underscore Adi. So he's gonna get his features on here. So that's 2, 4, 6. Okay, I'm gonna give him 7 joints on here. I always give him that chance. It's hard because you don't wanna limit them. And honestly, you know why I embrace it? Because it's really their sound. It's really their thing. So I've been doing a lot of West Coast beats too. A lot of the West Coast producers are up and coming. But this way I'll throw in an extra single just because it was actually that single that got my attention. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's the album right there. So we're at 1,026. You add these eight, we'll be at 1,034. That's the goal for today. Now I have to see. Oh, you know what? This could be the Akuma album because I released Nike yesterday. Nike was a Ryu album. Well, it's a hidden Ryu album, but that's what it is. Ooh, y'all not ready. Let me show y'all some of the NFTs for the Akuma album. Mm, let me see if I have them here. Oh, okay. There's a Mortal Kombat series coming after too. Let me see which ones I'm gonna show ya. I'll show ya who's coming. Ooh, yo, and look at the shirt. It matches the graphics of the shirt. Y'all see that? Y'all not ready. Y'all not ready. So there's a reptile series coming. Um, There's another Scorpion series coming, but that's gonna be a double album. So I have a Sub Zero single, so that would be the last because I have everything sequenced. But I can't show y'all the special edition. But look at the album cover. Y'all already. That will be out today. That will be out later today. So as a matter of fact, let me upgrade the avatar right now. Oh, wrong thing. We got to do this live because I got to roll, man. I got to roll. Um, can do a different one. You guys will get a sneak peek of the album cover. Wait till we make the shirts. But we'll do. So this is what we got upcoming. We got the Akuma series. Then we have the Sub Zero single, which is going to be inside the double album. So Reptile series, brand new, Scorpion series, and then we have some special edition single releases from the Nike album because I love you guys that much. So got to finish this. Here we go. Finish challenge. Super cold. Wow. Cold. It's like ice cream cold. Love you guys. We'll be right back. I'll be in my office in about 5 minutes. So we'll see you right back. I love all of you. Have an amazing day today. May you conquer everything in your path. Always remember to dream big because dreams come true. It happened to me, and I know for a fact it's going to happen to you. I'll see you on the next one.